I don't know what else, came out this week and they sucked. There you go.
I didn't even read Runaways, so I don't know.
Dude, you didn't miss anything. I thought you told me they were canceling it and I was all excited.
I thought they were.
No. There's this issue. There's another one.
Maybe it's a limited series.
I don't know. It's on like 7 and still going.
Yeah, but maybe like 12 issues.
We'll see.
Yeah. Alrighty. You ready?
Yep.
Cool. I'm ready. Is my phone silent? Yes. I have all my books. Yes. Okay, let's do this. All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey there, Marvel fans. We finally learned how Jane Foster became Thor.
Moon Knight is worthy.
Miss Marvel returns.
All this and more on this week's episode of the 6 Months Behind podcast.
Three, 2, 1.
What is up? This is the 6 Month Behind podcast for the week of 9/24/18. I am Pat.
And I am Sean.
And this week we're Phillips and Donald Mustard, just because we can be. How you doing, man?
Time out. Well, let's do that again.
Okay.
You got all stuttery on me.
It's possible.
Yeah.
I about stuttered under 6 months behind.
No, the connection went all janky for a second.
Oh, sorry.
It's fine.
Has it been good?
Yeah, until that was just the only little hiccup.
Okay.
It could have been me. Our internet's been weird the last couple days. All right. 3, 2, 1.
What is up? This is the 6 Month Behind podcast for the week of 9/24/18. I am Pat.
And I am Sean.
And this week we're Philip Stollmeyer and Donald Mustard. How you doing, man?
I'm good. And I also have no idea who either of those people are.
Donald Mustard is the chief developer for Fortnite, which released a new edition this week. And Philip Stollmeyer made this cool little game called Bacon the Game. And Bacon, like, this hand drops a piece of bacon and you catch it in a frying pan and then try and throw it on things like Kevin Bacon or the Statue of Liberty or asparagus, or you just gotta flip he just drops it and it flips, and it's a whole angle thing because the bacon's flying back and forth and there's angles involved, and you got the angle of the pan, then you got to throw it at the angle, and dude, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculously fun.
And where did you find this game?
It was on the Apple App Store the other day. And I somehow just saw it, and apparently this dude has developed some other games that have been ridiculously popular.
Yeah.
And it's just a stupid little mind-wasting game. There's nothing impressive about it. It's not Fortnite. There's not great battles. They're not great things to accomplish. It's just a stupid little game to kill 5 minutes with. You just throw the bacon. You throw it on the Mona Lisa. You throw it. If you'll access your camera, it will put you in the face of a cowboy, and you throw it on top of yourself.
Okay, then I might actually check that out because I don't normally play a lot of phone games, but dumb little things like that I'll get into for 20 minutes when I'm killing some time somewhere.
Dude, it was so goofy, man. It was just, yes, it was.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
And then Fortnite, I didn't know Donald Mustard was the creator of Fortnite, which tells you how old I am because I don't play Fortnite or really know anything about it.
Creative director or something. I forget his exact title, but I saw that in the app store too. One of these days, okay, I got the new Xbox and I'm playing games on the Xbox and I'm mad at Amazon. But besides that, I'm going to dive into Fortnite. And what made me think of it was Donald Mustard actually wrote an article there for Apple, for iOS, saying, if you're a beginner at Fortnite, here's what you do not to get killed 3 times in 2 minutes.
Yeah, that's my problem with games like that when they're super popular is, and this was my problem with Halo back in the day, which I love the Halo games. I love the story, but I never play it online because I'd just get my butt kicked every 30 seconds and it was no fun.
Yeah, you're getting your butt kicked by some 10-year-old in Alaska who's cussing like a sailor. And you're like, no, whether you're playing Call of Duty or whatever. And, dude, I've been sharpening my Forza skills since I got the Xbox before I go online with it. Because when I go online, I know there's like these guys who've perfected the game and, have completely fine-tuned their cars and are just going to totally embarrass me. Right. So I at least want to have some skill of some of my skills back.
Right. Somewhere out there, some guy's got that whole setup where he's got the wheel and the pedals and and he's just gonna smoke you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, Fortnite is everywhere. And I mean, I don't have a problem with the game. I just don't play it. It's not my kind of game. It is everywhere. I mean, you can't turn on ESPN without them talking about Fortnite. No, and not covering the game, but talking about football players and basketball players playing Fortnite.
I know.
And Epic is making so much money. I'm a little upset because they were making a new Unreal Tournament game and Fortnite hit and became an overnight success, and they diverted all the resources from Unreal Tournament to Fortnite. And I understand why they did, but dadgum, man, I want Unreal Tournament.
I understand. I do. Yeah,
but I'm an old school gamer and if you ask anybody who plays Fortnite what Unreal Tournament is, they'll just look at you funny.
Yeah, they don't even know. They don't even know what the Unreal Engine is. So
no, they have no idea. They have no idea that the Unreal Tournament basically created the path for first person shooters in this game that they're now playing.
That the Unreal Engine drives like half the games out there.
Yeah. Dude, they have no idea.
They don't know. No.
But Epic's making a ton of money, and because of that, everyone's trying to hack Epic accounts, and I had to put two-factor authentication on my Epic account the other day because I was getting like 10 and 12 login notices a day. And I was like, okay, clearly some Russian or Syrian is trying to hack my stuff because Fortnite's such a big deal now. So let me just two-factor this. And
Did you read about Facebook getting hacked?
Dude, yeah. Which is why it makes me glad I left Facebook in 2015.
Well, yeah, but it could be Facebook, Google, or anyone, man. When somebody decides they want that information, they're going to get it.
Did you read about exactly what happened?
Yeah, they got key to all the third-party access, man.
Yes.
The third-party access tokens. Dude. So in other words, if you've got money out there in a game, hanging in a game in some form, and you were one of the 50 to 90 million people that got hacked, they have the access to go in and get your token and access your account, say Candy Crush, okay? Mm-hmm. They can go in through your Facebook code into Candy Crush and get whatever money, resources, assets you have there.
Yeah. Or they can just mine your profile for data or hijack your profile because they can access it as if they were you and use it for whatever nefarious purpose they want.
Yes.
And they don't even need the password or your login info. They've got those third-party access tokens.
Yes.
That's what a
disaster, man.
And people, like, I was talking to people at work last night, and these are people who understand this stuff, who didn't understand the scope of what this was until I explained it to them. And they were like, what? And I was like, yeah, dude, if this were any other company, they'd be gone in a day.
Yeah, I know.
If this were, Macy's or Sears, gone.
Speaking of which, we've been talking about Sears forever. You and I personally, their stocks below $1 and they're about to declare bankruptcy again.
Yeah. Dude, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, you could have attempted to right that ship. Now you're just playing fiddle on the deck of the Titanic.
Going through a Dave Ramsey course for anyone who knows who Dave Ramsey is. And they created Discover Card to compete with Visa and MasterCard sometime in the 80s. They got in a fight with Visa over the amount they were charging them. And the first thing they did was sold off the most profitable assets they had, which was the Discover Card.
Yeah.
That's
ridiculous. And all the brands that they had, GE and Craftsman and all those, were the first things they sold. So it's like, well, why am I going to Sears now?
I know.
That's crazy.
I know, man.
Did you see the news about Tesla and Elon Musk?
Yeah, that's what he get. I almost made it Joe Rogan and Elon Musk this week.
Oh.
That was my second choice. That's who we almost were.
Oh man!
Because when you get high and then offer to tell everybody you're going to buy your stock back before you actually do it, turns out that's an SEC violation.
Yeah,
yeah, which is what he did. Yeah,
it's crazy to me how Elon Musk can be one of the smartest people on the planet and do dumb things like that.
But how many smart people do we know that do dumb things? We've discussed it
a lot, and some of it I think is hubris. It's just he's so smart that he doesn't have to think about some of the things he does, and as such doesn't weigh all the consequences when he does them because he's so confident in his abilities.
Yes.
And I haven't, Elon Musk has been in the news the last couple months about doing this and doing that, and people are hating on Elon Musk for some reason. I haven't figured it out, but this is a legitimate problem.
Yeah. Mainly because they don't feel that sitting around getting high with Joe Rogan, which he did, you can Google it and find it. It's the proper thing for the owner and CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company to be doing.
Do you know how many CEOs of multi-billion-dollar companies sit around and get high and just don't do it on podcasts with Joe Rogan?
They're just smart enough not to do it on a podcast, on a video with Joe Rogan, which is the whole thing of calling his judgment into question.
I see. I don't have any problem with it.
I understand you don't, but
other people do, and that bothers me too, because we're in this age where we're destigmatizing the use of cannabis. But okay, whatever.
I understand.
If our president can our former president can take a couple puffs and still be a president, then I don't know.
Speaking of CBD oil,
yeah,
I went to the doctor Monday and got released to start rehab.
Oh,
so Tuesday I go to rehab, right?
Yeah.
And you got to understand, for our listeners out there, I've had 5 shoulder surgeries over the years. All right. When we talk on air about my shoulders being a wreck, they're a wreck. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's like 2 of them, one of them being cleaned out twice, the other one being cleaned out once, partial replacement on the right one, full replacement on the left one a few weeks ago.
I've seen the x-rays. They're rough.
So I go to the doctor or the rehab therapist Tuesday, and he's like, hey, okay. We start filling out the paperwork. We're sitting there. Okay, do this exercise, do that exercise. He stretches it out. I'm like, okay, that it? They're slapping the electrodes, slapping the ice on it. Is that it? Yeah. He's like, yeah, that's it. Okay, no problem. And I'll go home. He says, do these exercise. I'm like, all right, I'll go home, do these exercise, man, whatever. So I come back Friday for my next appointment, and I walk in. It's a different therapist. First therapist isn't there. Therapist says, where's your sling? I'm like, dude, I'm out of the sling, man. He kind of looks at me funny. I'm like, all right. We walk back to the table. He's looking at my chart. He's like, you had shoulder surgery on September the 10th, right? I was like, no. You're 2 weeks out from shoulder surgery. No, man. I'm like 6 weeks out. It was August 14th. He's like, you sure? Dude, dig around in your little Chromebook there. So he digs around in the Chromebook, calls the first therapist an idiot. Another therapist come up. They both call him an idiot. I said, dude, he gave you all the wrong exercises Tuesday. I'm like, okay, let's do some more exercise, man. He proceeds to try and rip my arm from my shoulder. Okay. I had plans Friday night. I was going to, Renee and I were going to Rick and Debbie's, and we were going to hang out there a while. And then I was going up to the Bartlett Festival, and I was going to hang out with some buddies who were barbecuing all night. Okay. I had plans, right? He ripped my arm so bad, man. And he had me doing so many exercises. I was just like, peace out. I'm taking drugs and sitting here doing nothing. Literally sat there all night long with an ice pack on it. Dude, he ripped my arm to pieces. I mean, he pushed and pulled, and then he had me doing all kinds of exercise, which is good. I mean, it's good.
Right.
It's what it's going to take to get it better. There's no point in ever having any form of surgery on a joint if you don't do the rehab afterwards. I'm not complaining about the rehab. I just wasn't expecting it to be that extreme. I can still barely lift my arm. Okay. Dude, he tore me up, man. Yeah. I like blew everybody off. Went up to saw my guys for a few minutes Saturday morning that were barbecuing. I was like, sorry.
Sorry, man, but
send everybody text messages.
I was almost murdered.
Yeah, I'd send everybody text messages. I'm like, I ain't coming. Yeah, no.
Oh, dude.
Anyway, we have books this week, and we do discuss spoilers. So
we do, in fact, discuss spoilers. So if you haven't read all the comic books this week, Pause here, go back and read them because we're going to spoil them and we may spoil other stuff.
Yeah, because we're just like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And if you want to tell us about your shoulder surgeries, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
You can go to the website, www.6monthsbehind.com, and read about comic books. I'm not allowed to post pictures of my shoulders there, so you won't see any.
Please, for the love of God, don't do that.
Yeah.
I've seen the pictures. It's rough.
The most recent picture I have is a side-by-side with what it looked like before surgery and what it looks like after. It was just brutal before surgery, man. I mean, there's like no cartilage, and it's just bone rubbing on bone, and it's all out of place. And dude, it's bad. Yeah.
That makes my joints hurt.
Dude, it was bad,
just
man.
Thinking about it. Oh God. Yeah. Anyway, starting with our Avengers comics this week, we have Avengers No Surrender 685. This is kind of the big showdown with the Hulk. If you remember last issue, they resurrected the Hulk, and he's going to beat up on the Avengers. He pretty well takes out the Red Hulk in Iron Man armor with ease. In fact, he's about to kill him when Vision shows up. They're also kind of figuring out what this stasis thing is. Quicksilver is able to move fast enough to realize it's not a stasis field. It's something moving around them very, very quickly. As such, they're able to release Vision. He's trying to take out the Hulk. He's successful for a moment, but the Hulk just overwhelms him. And it becomes evident that the only person that can stop him is Wonder Man. Simon, what's his name? Simon Williams. That's it. Yeah. So the two of them are going to duke it out in the next issue. So, and also Voyager, who we found out in the last issue is actually the Game Master's daughter, seems to have gone rogue.
Yeah.
She's not helping him out anymore. She's like, F you, Dad. So
pretty much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's a good issue.
Yeah, it was. This is a good series. It kind of starts off slow, as I warned everyone, but it really gets good here in the middle and continues being a good read till the end.
Yeah, it was. It's grown on me a little bit.
Yeah. Next we have X-Men Gold number 24. I can't remember this 7-foot-tall woman's name, and I really don't care. The X-Men Gold team is still in prison. And, they've got a female fighting in the prison guard, except everybody forgot Kitty was a ninja. And so she stomps everybody. And then we cut to the X-Men Gold replacement team being led by old Bobby Drake, Iceman, and Rogue, and a few others. And they're up against a dude from Uncanny Avengers about a year or two ago. That's... I don't know, man. He grows roots underground, and I don't know. Anyway, Rogue pulls a Squirrel Girl and talks him down instead of beating him down. So she absorbs his power, and then she controls the roots, and there you go. And then,
I wasn't super impressed with this issue, to be honest.
No, I wasn't either. This is not some of the best X-Men Gold we've had. Then the three female X-Men that got in a fight are thrown into solitary, and they're throwing Storm in a very small hole when she's freaking out. So there you go.
Yeah, it was not their best work.
No.
By a long shot, actually.
No.
But that's okay. You can't hit a home run every week.
No. Particularly when you're putting the books out every other week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but it just wasn't great.
No.
Cable 155, however, was pretty good.
Actually, coming around to Cable?
Yeah, with this new storyline, Past Fears. So we begin the issue with Cable having a nightmare about his childhood, being chased by this techno-organic virus entity. Get an action shot of him saving a mutant girl in the future. Then Hope Summers shows up at the X Mansion, is like, I'm tired of being a hermit. I'm just going to hang out with you guys for a while. Well, that night, she gets attacked by what looks like Cable, but if he had been overtaken by his techno-organic virus. And this dude's freaky. There's tentacles and multiple eyes and claws, and this dude freaks me out. The next day, Cable shows up at the X Mansion looking for Hope because he knows what happened. Apparently, this creature is called Metis and is something from Cable's past. And it's been chasing Cable for years. And they kind of, hug and make up because they didn't leave on the best terms. And they go out in the woods together and decide they're going to take this thing out once and for all. So they bait it into attacking, and Cable's way of dealing with it seems to be to absorb it into himself, I think.
Yeah, I was kind of unclear what he was doing too, but
I think that's what's happening.
Yes.
And somehow he intends to absorb it, and he can neutralize it that way, or so he hopes. But dude, this thing's freaky. This thing's freaking me out.
I'm glad you finally like an issue of Cable.
Yeah, it was good. Also, the writers have changed. It's Zach Thompson and Lonnie Nadler now.
It only took 2 storylines to bring you around.
Yeah. The last one wasn't awful.
Speaking of awful or not awful, comes to our Spider-Man books, and Spider-Man Renew Your Vows number 17.
You didn't like this?
This book isn't going anywhere. Apparently it sells very well. I just, you got Spider-Ed or Spiderling or whatever they call her, and she's at the high school where 2 of her friends have gotten, or 2 of her acquaintances have gotten superpowers because, in the 616 universe, everybody gets superpowers.
This isn't the 616 universe.
Oh, no, it's not, is it? What universe is this?
I don't know.
We'll have the answer next time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they fight initially. Then she convinces them that she got her powers at the same time they got theirs. So they all want to be heroes together. She hides it from her parents, which probably is the best idea since Peter would have lost his mind. Yeah. They come up with costumes, go to a junkyard and train, then go beat up some mugger, and then they're convinced that, they're ready to go fight Dr. Doom.
Yeah. And apparently this is all going to have something to do with Norman Osborn Jr.
Yeah, and Annie's like, that's a real bad idea. We haven't seen Norman Osborn Jr. since he and Annie were both little kids. 8 years. It's the 8-year leap. So yeah. So that should be entertaining.
Apparently one of the girls is looking for revenge against him for something, and I'm sure that's going to go well.
Sure.
Yeah. Spider-Gwen number 30 was also very good. If you remember at the end of last issue, she got transported through time to what looked to be the 616 universe and met her doppelganger, Gwen Stacy, that Gwen Stacy. So Gwen Stacy, of course, freaked the heck out, finding, a lookalike version of herself dropping from the sky in an alleyway. Takes her to a diner, and she's trying to talk to her, and it's like, look, I don't know who you are, but obviously you're a different version of me, and I don't know what that means. Gwen Stacy 65 is like, I should really tell her because I know what's going to happen to her, and if the timing is right, this is all going to happen very soon. She tries to go to that universe's Reed Richard. Reed Richard blows her off. She goes to Peter Parker. Peter Parker is not having it. Eventually, she and Gwen Stacy the 2 Gwen Stacys decide to work together. And we learn that this is Earth 617, not Earth 616. In the middle of all this, you have this ongoing B storyline with the 2 Watchers of Earth 65 and Earth 8, who have noticed that there's something wrong has happened to the timeline, and they're all starting to diverge away from each other in a way that they're not supposed to. This all has something to do with Spider-Ham. There's the 2 Spider Kids from Earth 8 that we met several issues ago. When at the very end, we find out what the big problem is, and it's Gwen Stacy shows up. Gwen Stacy 65, except she's much older and still has the Venom symbiote. So yeah, something's weird.
Is this canceled? I want to say it's getting canceled and relaunched.
I think it is. I know Jason Latour moved off the project. I think that they just brought it to its conclusion, and it's getting relaunched. There's talk of maybe renaming her. There's also talk of renaming Miles Morales. I think she's getting a soft reboot.
Yeah, okay.
Which bums me out because Jason Latour is doing great things with this, and Robbie Rodriguez's art is just phenomenal. But you can't do it forever.
No.
Moving to our regular Marvel Universe comics, we have Doctor Strange Damnation number 3. This all has to do with the whole damnation thing. Basically, it's Wong's team fighting against the other one's all issue. And Johnny Storm is kind of the catalyst for Wong's team here. He's supposed to be the one that faces Mephisto because the Spirit of Vengeance is the only one that can beat Mephisto, except Mephisto has an ace up his sleeve and he can cure Johnny's curse. And he's no longer cursed by the Spirit of Vengeance. And therefore, now he's just a human being. Also, for some reason, Johnny Storm looks like Nicolas Cage in this issue.
Johnny Blaze.
What'd I say?
Storm. Twice.
Johnny Storm?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What am I thinking of?
Johnny of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, not Johnny Storm. Johnny Blaze. Oops.
Yes. That's all right.
There's so many Ghost Riders running around now. But Johnny Storm's not one of them.
No.
And he looks like Nick Cage in this issue. Like, is the writer of this just a real big fan of Nick Cage's Ghost Rider?
I don't know, man.
Yeah. Either way, Mephisto kicks him out of the window of the tower, and he's probably dead.
I read this article. Apparently, Nicolas Cage has got a new movie out because he made, and it's like the article is Nicolas Cage the greatest actor of our time or the worst actor of our time? And then it made the case for both because he's like had these really great roles, and then he's had some that were really disastrous.
Yeah. Mostly because he's broke as heck and has to take whatever he can get.
Yeah. So it's like he's really been awesome in some of these. And they're talking like he may be nominated for an Academy Award in this thing that's came out or coming out the next week or two. But, then they went through all the disasters he's had. So, anywho. Next, we have Incredible Hulk number 714. A very good book. Close to one of my books of the week. It isn't, but it was close. Amadeus Cho, the totally awesome Hulk, is back on Earth. He and Thor are. Maddie, of course, shows up because she's been looking at him. And what's happened, to summarize, is the monster of the Hulk that has been in the trunk has merged with Amadeus's intellect. So you got the powerful World Breaker combined with Amadeus's intellect and Amadeus's personality. And at some point, he lays down to sleep, and he wants him out of the trunk. Amadeus wants out of the trunk, and he's like, no. So when he wakes up 12 hours later, he goes out superheroing. He saves a bridge that Spider-Man was trying to save, does a couple other things. And then from Seknarf 7, we have this dude escaping.
The guy that was
Prince Falcon.
Yeah,
Prince Falcon escapes.
When he teamed up with the Atlas Foundation or something.
Yeah. So, and it took the whole Atlas Foundation like 6 issues to beat him.
Yeah.
So Amadeus Cho gets on his comm channel and says, look, I'm going to warn you one time, just go back to prison. Make this easy on yourself. And of course he doesn't. So Jimmy Woo is there, and he's wanting to get the Atlas Foundation together, and Miss Marvel saying, wait, and I'll come. And instead, Amadeus Cho just stomps the dude. I don't know if he kills him, but he stomps him. Then holds him up for a TV camera that he sees and says, here's the deal. Anybody that messes with me, this is what's going to happen to you. Any questions? And yeah, you can see the anger in his eye and realize, yeah, this isn't. I tell you what, if you flip a couple of pages, we have another appearance of Wolverine. Okay, because he's just randomly showing up all over the world, and he looks at the screen where this is happening and says, no way this ends well. Which sums it up pretty well.
Yeah. Enjoyed this issue of Hulk, but I'm done with the Wolverine thing.
Yeah. Dude, it'll be at least 6 months before we see him.
Bare minimum.
Yes, bare minimum. Because I'm buying the books and I haven't seen them over the counter yet. Okay, so
yeah. Anyway, Iron Fist number
we beat that horse to death.
Yeah, we sure have. This is a Damnation storyline tie-in. Because if you're reading that, you know that Iron Fist is he gets possessed by one of the demons in Las Vegas fighting against Doctor Strange. So as he's possessed, he kind of doesn't understand that he's possessed and his mind is occupied. So he's like reliving all of his past traumas and having to fight all his old villains. Eventually he snaps out of it, realizes it's Mephisto, and teams up with a dude named Fat Cobra to kick the crap out of a bunch of demons, which they do. He also happens to go to the hotel, the Hotel Inferno, which is like the main point of all this going on in Las Vegas. And people are telling him, "Oh, you're fighting in the octagon for, like a prize fighter at this hotel." And he's like, "No, I'm not. I'm standing right here." So he goes to investigate and sees an older version of himself just beating the crap out of people for prize fights. Don't know what that's about, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
Next, we have Mighty Thor number 705. This thing is totally cool. Jason Aaron is killing it with the writing. Russell Darman's art is great, but what to me really separates the thing is Matthew Wilson's colors. I mean, just from the Rainbow Bridge to the fight scenes, his coloring of the art is just magnificent. It really is. So this opens with Jane Foster standing there talking to Heimdall, and the Hammer's calling her. And this is back around the time of Original Sin, where Thor lost the hammer. And because Nick Fury, if you haven't read all these books, well, you've had years. Nick Fury told him that Mangog was right. He's unworthy. And it's Mangog, right? Isn't that how you pronounce it?
Mangog was not the one that told him that. It was because Mangog's the one tearing up Asgard currently.
Right, but I thought it was Mangog that told him all the gods were unworthy.
No, it's some other entity who's like the god killer. Maybe it is Mangog, but he looks different here than he does in the previous ones. He shows up in the first issue that Jason Aaron ever wrote, the first story that Jason Aaron ever wrote as Thor, and that was years ago, so I'd have to look it up.
Yeah, and all this is recounted in Unworthy Thor, the limited series 1 through 5. So we learned that the Hammer's calling her, the Ymir is calling her. She goes to the moon, picks it up, and becomes Thor, which is how she becomes Lady Thor. All those. It says many months ago on the first page. It's however many years ago it was now, 3 or 4. I don't even know. Original Sin's a good series, by the way, too. Anywho, we cut back to her fighting Mangog, and she isn't supposed to because she couldn't transform into Thor again. And just the fight scenes, the artwork, the color, this thing is off. It's off the chain. Basically, the All-Father Odin says we're all just going to die. I don't know why we just don't lay down here and die. And at one point he says, "Hey, when she dies, I want the hammer." By the way,
it was Gore the God Butcher.
Oh, Gore the God Butcher. That's right.
Because Mangog is one of those old monsters that's been around since like the 60s.
Okay.
And they're just using him in a new capacity here.
So anyway, finally Lady Thor takes Mangog and throws him into the sun. And when he doesn't stay, she goes back and it's just some, dude, I'm thumbing through this. There's just some magnificent art along the way.
This book is gorgeous.
It is, man. It is absolutely gorgeous. She and Thor are there. She and let me rephrase that. She and Odin's son are there. And they kill Mangog, and she transforms back into Jane Foster at the same time. They're in this exploding sun, and yeah, it's not going to end well. The next issue is the last of the story arc, and maybe the last of the series because I think they relaunch it.
Yeah, I think they relaunch. Jason Aaron's still writing it, but it'll relaunch, and I think Odin's son gets the hammer back and all that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. Now for something completely different, Monsters Unleashed number 12, which is a team up with Kid Kaiju and his monsters and Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur.
Can we only hope this is the last issue?
It's not.
Okay.
I think this is the last in this series, but they're doing another one.
Oh. Why?
It's selling, dude, because it's for kids. It's not for us.
Okay.
And it's selling well with kids.
We'll circle back to this in a moment.
Okay. Miss Marvel 28, however, is finally getting good. If you've been reading this book or keeping up with it, Kamala Khan disappeared for a little while. And in her stead, all of her friends decided to get together and be Miss Marvel without her, and they're like a Miss Marvel team. But they don't have superpowers, so they're terrible at it. Meanwhile, this kid named the Inventor has been siphoning power from the elderly to create monsters or something. Anyway, all this has come to a head. The confrontations with the Inventor have gotten way too much. And they call in Carol Danvers. And Carol Danvers is like, yeah, you're right to call me. You guys can't handle this. We gotta do something. Where finally, we find out where Kamala Khan's been the whole time. She just wanted to be normal for a little while. So she sent herself to this prep school or something in Jersey Heights. The Overly Private School. That's funny. Anyway, this kid that's been running around with a sandwich trying to give Kamala Khan a sandwich for like the last 6 issues finally finds her and convinces her to snap out of it and go back to being herself because the world needs Miss Marvel. There's this big fight with the Inventor and all of his creations, and Kamala Khan shows up, saves the day. Her and Carol kind of make up because things didn't end well for them last time they talked. And she's back, and now everybody is happy to see Kamala, and hooray!
There you go.
Yeah. It was actually pretty good because Kamala's finally back, and that means this book is about Miss Marvel again and not Miss Marvel's friends.
Oh, there you go. Meanwhile, for a comedic interlude, can you see yourself in the camera? I mean, you got a little box down in the corner that says what you look like?
Yeah.
You see that sweatshirt hanging on your bedpost?
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure out since we started recording, if that was like Lady Death hovering over you, or a ghost or a wraith floating behind you or something. Okay. I thought it was like going to reach out, touch you, and kill you at any moment. Okay. While you were talking about Miss Marvel, we got to put this on YouTube or Twitch at some point. Okay. We just got to start streaming these. At some point, I realized it's a sweatshirt hanging over a bedpost.
Yeah. It's a Carhartt hoodie.
Okay.
Like Cage wears.
Yeah, but it looks like Lady Death standing behind you.
Yeah, it's a black hoodie, and it's hanging on my bedpost, so it just, yeah.
It's literally hovering over you.
It's actually like 4 feet behind me, but
I understand.
You can't tell. Yeah.
Okay, next we have Runaways #7, and my only question is why. I don't even know. I'm sure somewhere there are teenagers out there who are lost and in love with this book and in love with these characters and want to see Vic sitting around as a headless thing talking about how his hair looks and want to see Duder trying to get a job to pay for everybody. And they care about all this. I don't.
Yeah, there are a lot of people who love the original Runaways. I like the original Runaways. I like the TV show on Hulu. It was really good. But this is not great.
No, this is bad.
And people who like the Runaways like this, and that's great, but it's not for us.
Dude, it would be better in an Archie comic because that's what the storyline is.
It is. It's got a hint of Archie to it. It really does. That kind of just silliness.
Whereas I'm more of a Tales of Suspense 103 guy.
Yeah, this was really good. So this issue is told from the perspective of Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, who last we saw was killed at the hands of evil Captain America, Steve Rogers, Stevel, during the whole Secret Empire thing. Except after that happens, she wakes up on a beach on an island with a talking bear. Her and the bear have a little talk, and then the bear's like, yeah, they tell you to go to a happy place until you figured out how to deal with this trauma. Then all the holograms disappear, and she realizes she's back in the Red Room. And to keep this from being the longest thing we ever talk about, essentially what they're doing is every time one of the Red Room agents dies, they have this mutant who is able to like siphon their personality and memories and everything and put it into a new body that they're growing in the basement of the Red Room. So that's what happened. Is she's now back in the possession of the Red Room in Russia and is being regrown in a lab. And yeah, that's fun.
Yeah, that was a very good issue, man. And it explains well how she, obviously died during Secret Empire and is now alive again.
Right. And what you also see is she's playing two sides like a spy. She's playing as if she's back as a Red Room agent, as if she doesn't remember everything that's happened to her and she's just one of their spies again. But while she's doing that, she's investigating and setting up ways that she can get out of this. And you see how she has orchestrated these events that Bucky and Hawkeye have been investigating with the girl from the car crash who they thought died but didn't, and the other Red Room spy that they thought was Natasha but wasn't, and killing the lady on the roof, and all the way up until the confrontation with Bucky and Hawkeye on top of that roof from the last issue. Of course, she goes running, and yeah, we'll see the conclusion in the next issue, but she's taking it out on the Red Room.
Yeah. All right. Next, we have Thanos number 17. If you haven't been following this storyline, I'm going to recap it for you very quickly. At the end of time, Thanos has killed everyone, old Thanos, because now we have an old man Logan. We have an old man Deadpool. We have an old man Peter Parker. So of course we have an old man Thanos. So old Thanos has killed everyone, but he has brought young Thanos from the current 616 timeline there to the end of time with him to help him defeat one last hero who is called the Fallen One. And the Fallen One has taken this long to get himself together because he's the Silver Surfer and he has the power cosmic, and that's not enough to beat Thanos. And he had the Annihilation Wave, and that's not enough to beat Thanos. So he spent a couple of millennia becoming worthy so he can have Mjolnir too. And he's got Thor's hammer now. Dude is seriously spoiling for a fight.
Yeah.
And comes close to actually beating the Cosmic Ghost Rider, whatever we call him. I think he's Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Yeah, he's just Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Anyway, old Thanos and young Thanos. And he's doing pretty well until they release the Maestro on him. And he manages to talk the Maestro down. He managed to turn him back into Bruce Banner, and Bruce just begs him to kill him. And the Surfer doesn't. And then young Thanos distracts him, and old Thanos takes, I'm not sure what this magic sword is, but runs it through the heart of the Silver Surfer, and then kind of cuts him into a couple of pieces. There you go.
Dude, I gotta catch up on this book because it just sounds
really
like it's
got to read this book,
crazy
man.
In the last few issues.
And I won't tell you what the last page is, but it is off the chain, man. Yeah. I mean, they with all that power, Thanos and old Thanos just smashed the Silver Surfer, dude. It's really good.
All right.
I mean, you need to back up to when this art begins, because the first art was kind of mediocre and had that whole thing going.
Yeah, that's kind of where I dropped off from it because you were reviewing it mostly, and I was just like, I'm not enjoying it. So
yeah, but dude, it's with this story arc, it has gotten good. Let me see if I can figure out what chapter this is.
I think it was like you told me it was like issue 13 is where this all this stuff.
I think so because they did the first 2 6-issue arcs, and this is 13. It doesn't say what part this is, but I'm almost certain it started at 13.
Yeah, this is issue 17, so 13 would probably be a good place to pick up anyway.
Yeah.
Weapon H number 1. So if you were reading Weapon X for the last few months, you remember Weapon H, which is where Weapon X took all the Hulk DNA and the Wolverine DNA and combined them together into one person. And they fought Weapon H for a little while, and he got away. And well, now he's got his own series. Greg Pak's writing it, so that's good. And he's basically doing the whole Hulk thing, laying low, working menial jobs just to get a little money to get by, and just trying not to get anyone's attention. Because he knows that he has a family, and if he goes back to his life, Weapon X will find them and kill them, and that's all he's trying to do is keep his family safe. So he finds himself in Alaska, just trying to lay low. When he runs, he's in the middle of nowhere in Alaska when a Roxxon helicopter lands and an expedition team leaves out, and they're searching for something. Turns out they forgot all their rations. They ain't got no food. They're going to die up here. He kills a deer and leaves it at their tent. And he's kind of been watching them for a while. And we find out that they're looking for some expeditions. These explorers were exploring in this area years and years ago. And everything went wrong. They ran out of food and all started to eat each other. Well, when they find the archaeological site that they're looking for, one of them's like, hey, let's celebrate with some beef jerky. And they're like, you were holding out rations? He's like, well, it's special beef jerky because it's made of people. And the guy who eats it turns into the Wendigo. And if you don't know who the Wendigo is, he's an old Wolverine villain. And
in the first appearance of Wolverine, Hulk is fighting the Wendigo, and then Wolverine gets in the middle of them.
It's the Wendigo.
Wendigo. What a who to care.
Okay. And I'm not going to get into the history of the Wendigo, but it all has to do with this archaeological expedition that they were talking about. And this dude ate his family and consumed their flesh and was cursed to become the Wendigo. Anyway, the Wendigo is back and he's tearing things up. So Weapon H has nothing to do except Hulk out and try to destroy this abomination, which is when it catches the attention of Doctor Strange. Meanwhile, in Texas, Weapon H, whose real name is Clay, his wife is dealing with his loss because she thinks he's dead. She's trying to deal with their kids and trying to get, payments from the VA for her husband, and they don't have all the records straight, and the kids are a handful, and life is a mess, and she's trying to hold it together. Meanwhile, at the Roxxon Corporation, they found this footage of Weapon H and realized that this could be something that they could use. It was a Weapon X invention, but Roxxon can use it. Meanwhile, we find out that Clay's wife, whose name I can't remember, actually works for Roxxon. And her boss is also involved in this whole Weapon H thing. So I have a feeling she's going to go down the path of finding out all this stuff about Weapon H, finding out that it's her husband, and who even knows what that's going to look like. Anyway, it was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I didn't think it was great. It wasn't bad.
No, I mean, I wouldn't call it great, but when I saw it, the first issue, I was like, do we really need a Weapon H comic book? But it was pretty good.
It's selling pretty well. I mean, it's still on the shelf, so there you go. Star Wars number 45. What is the race of Admiral Akbar?
He's a Mon Calamari.
See, I wanted to say calamari, but I'm thinking, no, I must have it confused with a seafood restaurant.
No, no. They're called the Mon Calamari, which I had some great calamari at the beach this week. Anyway.
See, I just thought it was in my screwed up head. I had it confused. Apparently I don't.
No.
This whole book, and I guess it ties in with the Vader book where they're negotiating with the Mon Calamari.
It calls back to that because the thing that's happening in that Darth Vader book happened years ago. It happened around the time that the Empire began. This is, of course.
So that's when the king gets imprisoned. In this issue, they're trying to figure out how to free the king. Of course, they take a suicidal mission that won't work, and Leia and Han and Luke go to do it. And we got a Red Squadron Union, and there you go.
Yeah.
Art's great as usual. It was all right.
Yeah, it's leading up to a larger storyline that's going to be something.
And it's kind of a filler issue with lots of talking, which, yeah.
Yeah, and if you're a hardcore Star Wars nut like I am, you understand what Mon Cala and the Mon Calamari and the people of, because there's two races on Mon Cala, what their significance is to the empire, to the rebellion. And you have seen all of this play out for years, because Mon Cala was a big theater in the Clone Wars. And so if you watch the Clone Wars, you see the civil war that happens there, the king that gets appointed because all the previous king was killed with no heir. This going on in the Darth Vader book, the capture of the king, his imprisonment for the better part of 20 years, and then this going on here where they're going to try to rescue him. And of course, later, what the Mon Cala and their ships are able to do for the rebellion, which is obviously without the Mon Cala, the rebellion isn't successful.
Right.
So anyway, Poe Dameron number 25, gorgeous cover. I just want to get that out of the way. Really good cover. I think this is winding down. I think issue 30 is the last issue of this. In fact, for a moment, I thought this was the last issue, but I know this book was always slated to end where Force Awakens begins. Anyway, they rescue Lor San Tekka through various means. There's a big space fight. It's pretty cool. Lor San Tekka gets a mission from Leia to go find Luke. Snap and the lady chick that they've been having relationship problems decide the heck with it, we're just going to get married. They get hitched. There's a big celebration where Lor San Tekka pulls Poe aside and says, there's something greater happening here and you're going to be a big part of it. And of course we know that means he's going to be a big part of the next trilogy. So yeah, it was all right.
Okay, cool.
It was fine.
What was your favorite book this week?
Ooh, there were some good ones. Probably Mighty Thor, to be honest.
Yeah, mine too. I mean, that Thanos book was close. There was a couple other books that were close, but dude, Mighty Thor.
Just the gravity of what's happening in Thor right now outweighs the rest of it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, absolutely. In the dump this week, we have a bunch of old Blade comics, some old X-Force stuff, Darkhold, which I don't know what that's about, and a couple issues of Marvel Chillers, which I don't know what that's about either. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah. You want to see who actually listens to the end of the podcast?
Sure.
I told you I went to the Bartlett Festival yesterday, right?
Yeah.
So, and of course, it's a big thing, man. I mean, they got barbecue. They got all kinds of bands playing all the time. They got the barbecue contest. It's Memphis in May barbecue competition. Literally, it's the Memphis in May organization, and there's all kinds of booths. People, it's funny, man. There was a Republican booth, there was a John Birch booth, but there was no Democrat booth. I don't know how that happened in Bartlett, Tennessee. Anyway, so you got all these booths set up, right? So me and Johnny, now you know who Johnny is. Don't say it, but you know who Johnny is, right? So me and Johnny are walking around, and I'm like, she's selling CBD oil. And he's like, what's that? So we go over and we start talking to her. Okay. And dude, she had everything, man. I mean, she had bath salts, she had soap, she had gummy bears, she had it all. And Johnny just gets all freaked out, man. I was like, dude, and she explains to him there's no THC in it. Okay.
You're not going to get high off of it.
Right. It's completely different. But for people with long-term pain like me in my shoulders, it's close. So we wander back to where the guys are barbecuing, and I'm sitting there talking to my buddy Tim, Tim, I know Tim from the same place I know Johnny. The names are not being changed, but I'm withholding things to protect the innocent here.
Yeah.
Tim's like, really? They got CBD oil up there? I'm like, yeah. And he tells me how his mother-in-law, who's got stage 4 cancer out in California, has been using it.
Yeah.
So we go back up there.
Dude, in California, she can get the stuff that'll get you real high.
I know, which I think she does occasionally, is what he basically said.
She got stage 4 cancer. Who cares?
Dude, no doubt. So we go back up there and buy some, and then, so bottom line, I got some, tried it about an hour before we went on the air. It's actually works very, very well.
Yeah.
Because I've got no side effects and no pain in my shoulders. And I did a lot of yard work this afternoon.
Yeah, dude. I've been telling you for weeks to check that stuff out. It works.
Well, I couldn't while I was in recovery.
Well, that's true.
I mean, while I was, dude, I've been thinking, yeah. I didn't want to mix it with other things.
I understand.
But I did a lot of yard work this afternoon, and yeah, man, works good.
Did you what did you do? Get like some
I got some gummy bears.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, she didn't have any ointment with her. If she'd had the ointment, I would have got it.
Oh, okay.
She didn't, because we talked about how well it worked, but she didn't have any.
Okay. Cool, man. I'm glad it's working out for you.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, that's going to pretty much wrap us up for the week. If you want to get in touch with us, you can email us at 6monthsbehind@gmail.com. That is the number 6monthsbehind@gmail.com.
You can hit us on the website at www.6monthsbehind.com.
And we will have another What's Next coming soon about the origins of Carol Danvers as Captain Marvel. I was traveling this week and just didn't have time to do anything with it. So that's coming soon. We figured since the trailer dropped and people are getting excited about it, we'll do her origin story, because the whole Carol Danvers was around for a long time before she was ever Captain Marvel, and there was a Captain Marvel beforehand. So we're gonna hash all that out here soon.
Cool.
Pat, do you have any wisdom to share with us before we leave?
Speaking of stage 4 cancer, whatever you want to do it now. There are only so many tomorrows. That's from Michael Landon, who, he's Little Joe on Bonanza and died from cancer.
Dude, yeah, that's for sure. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. On that somber note, see you next week.
Peace.